I call the Honourable Tau Henare. Tēnā koe.
Kia ora, Mr. Speaker. Te mea tūtahi ke a koutou aku rangatira, ke a koutou aku tuakan a Rongowhakaata tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou e haere mai nei, tēnei rā, i te rongo koutou ki ngā kōrero o ngā rangatira o tēnei whare. Kua hau he uri o wahine kino. Kua hau Rongowhakaata. Nō reira, ka mihi au kia koutou aku whanaunga, e aku tupuna, e aku tuakana. Mr. Speaker, I'm a boy from O-Town, from 247, from Otara, born and bred, Mr. Speaker, and always have been brought up to believe the great stories of Ngāti Hine and Ngāpuhi, until one day I found out that the great carver of Te Hauki Tūranga, Rahuruhi Rukupo, he had a sister called Wahine Kino, who is my tupuna. And as the story goes, she married a Wynyard and had Robert Henry Wynyard, who had Tau Henare #1, who was a member of Parliament of this Parliament back in the day, who had Mita, my grandfather, who had Paul, my father, and I'm the yeah. And the story goes on and on and on. Sir, I married and I will call her a princess, from up on the coast. And as it transpires, her ancestors, her tupuna, served time on the Chatham Islands, sir, with regards to what we have been talking about today. And my son is now being tutored by a man they call D-Man, a man they call Derek Lardeli up at Toihaukura. And so, sir, the circle gets bigger and bigger and bigger in my relationship with those fine people from Rongowhakaata, from Tūranga. So I want to acknowledge everything that the previous speakers have said, but want to continue my theme about the great and fantastic tapestry that is New Zealand, that is Aotearoa. And want to, if I may, veer off for a couple of seconds. So on December the 26th, on Boxing Day, 1890, in America, something happened that most of us know about, and that was the massacre at Wounded Knee, where between 150 and 300 people were massacred. So we know about these stories. We know about the Matawhero massacre, but not many of the nation, not many of our people know about the massacre at Ngātapa and the battle at Wairingahika, Mr. Speaker. And to continue the theme that was raised by Brendan Horan and Louisa Wall about the education of New Zealand in terms of the treaty settlements and those stories that make up the great tapestry of New Zealand. These sir, these stories should be up there in the first chapter of that tapestry, which is called New Zealand Aotearoa. So it's not only about what happened, but it's also about what happened beforehand and also after. And sir, the stories of Rukupo, the stories of how Te Hauki Tūranga was taken from that area and put into the Dominion Museum, and how actually the story about Te Hauki Tūranga, how it was cut to pieces to be able to fit into the Dominion Museum is another story. So I suppose what I'm saying is that yes, this is a solemn day. It's a great day that we move to settle those grievances. But on the other hand, we should somewhere And I mean, if you go onto YouTube and you put in the words Wounded Knee, hundreds of 10-minute videos exist about the story of Wounded Knee. And they relate to the Oglala battle at Little Bighorn and so on and so forth. And you get to learn the story. Yes, you do, Mr. Speaker. You get to learn about the story of the Lakota, the Sioux, and even General Custer himself. And how come we can't turn on YouTube and see our stories? How come we can't learn about our stories, regardless of whether it's Ngātapa, whether it's the stories of how John Hancock went down to Otago and found gold and all his interesting stories. How come we can't see those? So, Mr. Speaker, in the context of what I started off with this morning about the tapestry, the great and fantastic ins and outs and twists and turns of New Zealand Aotearoa, this story, sir, is one that I hope when somebody really does pull out all the stops about a story about our country, New Zealand Aotearoa, this story, sir, is part of that great tapestry. In terms of the quantum, never ever going to get what people rightly deserve. Even South Canterbury finance people aren't going to get a return to what they think they should. Mr. Speaker, I do commend the work of the Minister, the officials, and my mates on the Select Committee, but also the work that the House does in trying to push this through. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to the House, it's actually non-controversial. Yes, there are issues about water rights and all sorts of things, and we'll deal with those maybe next week. But now we're dealing with a part of New Zealand's story, and putting the pieces of the jigsaw of that story into place, so the next ones that come after us can read a fuller account and version of New Zealand's story.
I call the honourable member